legend himself.
Everybody, good seeing you, man. Welcome to Fan Expo St. Louis.
The legend.
I was just doing my acting. That's awesome. He's gonna love that.
I'm a big fan. I love your work.
Oh, thank you.
I especially loved you as the cameraman.
Just frosted me like a cake.
One ring to rule them all. Yep.
And whatever else you want to say.
Oh, I'm doing it here. I'm gonna write it down here. It's cool, man. I'm taking it back.
Okay.
You never go ass to mouth as I write it right in my mouth. There you go, brother. I'm not gonna wait till 1, 2, 3. Oh, man.
Tim and Jeremy, hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, and what the fuck, you were supposed to meet us here. You're not here. What the fuck, man, you flat left us. So, this to you.
For keeping the popular arts alive. Celebrate those things that you love, kids. Don't be afraid to fucking embrace them, big and bold, particularly now. In our culture, it's a great time to be a comic book fan. When we were kids, you used to have to hide that shit. Now you can wear it loud and proud. Now you can dress like Superman to help a guy who fell off a fucking stool. Thank you for being here. I thank the good folks at Fan Expo for having us out. The good folks at St. Louis in general have been so nice to us over the years, and including this trip here. All of you came to see us to take pictures today and get stuff signed. If you didn't, I'm coming tomorrow to sign stuff and take pictures, and he's there all day as well, so you can see us tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying the show, but there is no show, as you've noticed, without the guy sitting to my right. Give it up for the one and only. And that is James I'm Kevin Smith.
Report all age for the blunt man, the chronic shoot in about 30 minutes. Thank you.
What else you got? Herbert the Pervert?
Attention, all extras.
Yes!
I don't know, every announcement should sound like that. Go ahead.
Report to the hall age for the blunt man big chronic shoot in about 30 minutes.
Panel 3, interior panel room. The room's empty now, except for Holden and Alyssa near the stage, and one Silent Bob cosplayer packing up his bag. Holden sits on the edge of the stage wrapping up cables. Alyssa's standing, holding her stomach, crossing her legs, and she says,
I gotta pee bad. Can you wait here for Ginny and Amy to get back?
Totally. I gotta wrap up all my gear anyway.
Panel 4, alone now. Holden sits on the edge of the stage, quietly wrapping up wires. Panel 5, same exact panel, but now Holden looks up with wide eyes in response to the sound of the door slamming from off panel. Maybe vibrate the panel, make it feel like a very big door slam. It says, Kerslam! Then panel 6, a smiling, seated Holden says in his first line from Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, the line that he said off camera in the movie, use image from Jay and Silent Bob Reboot as reference, Holden says,
Look at these morose motherfuckers right here.
and in the lower right corner of the panel, a quick stop sign indicates the end of our issue, the end. Give it up. Legendary Quick Stop. Use any image from Clerks as reference. He wears the old Quick Stop smock that Jay was wearing in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And we hear Holden say,
I worked there for a month, the summer before I went to college.
so okay, if you're into this, movies and shit like that, if you love the Bruce Universe, you just found out that fucking Holden McNeil once worked at Quick Stop. 12 people in the world are gonna be like, Panel 3, over Holden onto what he's sketching in his art pad. It's a version of the cover of Ranger Danger Requiem, which was the shirt that Jay was wearing in Reboot. Holden says,
It was the most amazing job where I had no oversight and tons of time to sit around and draw because nobody ever came to that store.
Panel 4, close on Holden, lost in his drawing, framed by the edges of clothing worn by waiting customers on the other side of the counter, who we don't see yet, but we know who they are. Holden's voiceover says,
Well, nobody but them.
and then Jay says,
Yo, Bob Ross! You really want to paint something?
go ahead.
Paint these nuts with your tongue, you cock smoker!
Splash page over Holden on Jay and Silent Bob. As Silent Bob puts movie brand Boohoo on the counter to purchase, Jay yanks his pants down with one hand, holds his dick with the other, so that only his hanging nuts are exposed.
Oh.
And here it says, use image from Zack and Miri as reference. Jay sticks his tongue out metal style when he says that line. So the very next panel is page 9, panel 1. Holden shields his eyes from behind the counter and he says,
Jesus, get those things away from the ice cream. Haagen-Dazs. Says the guy who's always hogging dogs in his mouth. Huge. Pack the wraps, my good man. It's time to kick back, drink some beers, and smoke some weed.
Panel 3, we see both parties in profile as Holden hands wraps to Jay and Silent Bob is extending money to Holden. Jay is screaming his head off in performance mode. Holden says,
Didn't you guys ever see Scarface? Fuck Casper Gomez and fuck the fucking Diaz brothers! I was thinking the other line. Don't get high on your own supply.
I've now heard him do that fuck Casper Gomez line like 6 times out loud. Makes me laugh each and every time. Panel 4, Jay rolls a joint at the counter with the new wraps while Silent Bob plays it modestly cool. Jay says,
Tony Montana never had any cocaine as good as this homegrown weed. That's because Silent Bob's a horticultural genius. He grew a whole new strain of smoke just by crossbreeding some dirt weed seeds in an old Flintstones terrarium kit. Motherfucker's like MacGyver. No, motherfucker's better than MacGyver. And I can prove it.
I just want to give it up for him. He got terrarium right. Give it up. Many syllables. Yeah, it was landed. Fucking white whale, you got it, man. No, you lost it already. Panel 5, Jay extends the rolled joint to a nervous Holden as Silent Bob looks on smiling and Jay says,
Hit this shit with us and find out. Are you nuts? Put that away. But you buy weed from us all the time. But I don't smoke it in public. We can't blaze right here at the store. What if the cops come in?
Panel 6, close on Jay, eyebrow arched mischievously as he indicates the door to the cooler at the back of the store behind him, and Jay says,
Then lock the door and let's hit this shit back in the cooler, kid.
Page 10, panel 1, interior panel room back at Chronicons. We come back to the present. Back at the con, close on Holden telling his story. Holden says,
Now mind you, back then, it's not like it was today. This morning I just bought a pack of pre-rolls at Maui Wowie Pre-Rolls at the weed store that's across the street from Movies. That's the world we live in now. But this was the early 90s, when just having weed seeds in your pocket would be enough to send you to jail. So I had to be clever.
and Holden hangs a sign that says, taking a shit, back in 5 minutes. Panel 3, interior cooler day. Holden and Jay and Silent Bob are in the cooler, surrounded by sodas and milk. Use image from Clerks 3 as reference, because for the first time ever, we go inside the cooler in Clerks 3. Not the first time, we did it in the cartoon as well. But in the moment in Clerks 3 when we enter the cooler, if you listen very closely, Brian throws away the line where he goes, oh, it's cold in here, hot cold, and then he gets interrupted. If you know the cartoon, it's fun. Holden and Jay are in the cooler. Jay and Silent Bob. Jay is lighting the joint in his mouth and looking at Holden's smock that he's wearing. Holden is rubbing his own arms to stay warm. Jay says,
I like that schmuck you gotta wear. You mean this smock? I hate it. Can I have it? No. Oh man, I'm sharing my weed with you and you can't even share your clothes?
Jay passes the joint to Holden. Holden's making an ill face. Jay says,
Look, I'm gonna stop calling you Holden McNeil and start calling you holding on to material possessions. You're up, hero pup. Ew, you fucking drooled on it, man.
Panel 5, Holden hits the joint as Jay and Silent Bob look on. Jay says,
Yo, you wanna come see Dick Tracy with me and Silent Bob tonight? I think it's a porno.
Panel 6, close on Holden holding his smoke, eyes wide. He's looking at and we hear, he's looking at Jay and Silent Bob, and we hear what he's thinking, and Holden's voiceover tells us.
I didn't see Dick Tracy that night. Instead,
Go ahead.
I saw my heroes.
Page 11, splash page, interior blunt cave. Holden's stone POV has changed the cooler into the blunt cave and turned Jay and Silent Bob into Blunt Man and Chronic. Behind them, we could see in place of a giant dinosaur, like in the back cave, bless you, the blunt cave has a giant movie statue in the same T-Rex pose. On the lower or higher platform behind them is the Bluntmobile, and there's a hint of a giant penny. Chronic screams,
Holy home invading Vicky Bales, Blunt Man! Who let this cock-smoking clerk into our bitchin' blunt cave?
Page 12, panel 1, reveal Holden is standing in front of them just as he was at the store, exhaling a cloud of smoke with a joint in his hand. Holden says,
Holy shit, this weed is amazing.
Panel 2, wide on the blunt cave as an alarm sounds, and Blunt Man and Chronic go racing for the Bluntmobile, chased after by Holden. The sound effects go, reed, reed.
Holy shit, Blunt Man! That re-re can only mean one thing!
Panel 3, Blunt Man and Chronic hop into the two-seater Bluntmobile. Holden is following them, but still a few feet from the car. Chronic says,
That mutated motherfucker must be back!
Who's back? Where are we going, guys? I gotta get back to the store.
Panel 4, close on the fire shooting from the Bluntmobile's jet engine exhaust. It says, "Foom" is the sound effect. Panel 5, the Bluntmobile takes off with Holden holding on to the vehicle's fin. The sound effect says, "Screech." Holden says,
Wait!
Page 13, panel 1. We're over a hanging on for dear life Holden, over Chronic, who's looking back at Holden as Blunt Man drives the Bluntmobile toward the mouth of the cave ahead. Chronic says,
There's no time, so you better bust out your best spanker, Chief, because you're coming with us!
I'm gonna pause you and just, it's more, is it Spanker Chief or Spanker Chip?
That sounds like spanker, Chief, in the way it's spelled.
Well, that's just how it's spelled.
Oh,
How
okay.
do you say
There's no time, so you better bust out your spanker, Chip, because you're coming with us!
Give it up for him, we got it right, ladies and gentlemen. Panel 2, exterior Blunt Cave night. The biggest panel on the page, Bluntmobile explodes into the night from the mouth of the Blunt Cave with a gritted teeth Holden, a gritted teeth Blunt Man driving, a hooting Jay riding shotgun, and Holden holding onto the tail of the car for dear life. The sound effects say, "Vroom." Chronic says,
Snooze!
Panel 3, closer on Holden as he holds onto the tail of the Bluntmobile for dear life. Chronic's hand is extending in from off panel, holding out a classic sidekick domino mask to Holden. Chronic says,
Quick, kid, put on this mask! You gotta protect your secret identity! From who?
Page 14, panel 1, exterior the mud pit from Dark Knight Returns. In the same mud pit where Batman fought the mutant leader in The Dark Knight Returns is a mutant leader-looking version of Cockknocker. The mutant gang looks on. Use image from Dark Knight Returns as reference. Cockknocker, I will play. You know what? You can do Heath Ledger. Can you do Mark Hamill?
Of course I can.
Let's do it. All right. So you be Cockknocker.
I'll kill you. I show you the rules. Red Bang.
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
How many more Jokers can you do? That's 2. Off panel, Chronic says,
Okay, boy,
and then,
show us.
so panel 2, like in The Dark Knight Returns, Blunt Man and Chronic rise from the mud pit, ready to fight the enraged Cockknocker who screams. Well, there weren't that many syllables, but I'll take that. That was amazing. Page 15, panel 1. Just like in The Dark Knight Returns, we go close on 2 heavily silhouetted gang members named Rob and Don. But they're dressed like Cockknocker cockmandos. Use image from Jay and Silent Bob, a reboot as reference. Wearing his domino mask, Holden is fully lit from behind. Rob and Don horrified at the off-panel action. Rob, I will be Rob. Rob says, you see Don, Blunt Man, he nasty. And then Don says, but Cockknocker Rob, he balls nasty. Because in panel 2, in the mud pit, Cockknocker smashes his giant fist into the crotch of Chronic, who goes wide-eyed and goes, "Ooh!" and then says,
Avenge me, Knight!
and then falls over into the mud. Panel 4, Blunt Man takes Cockknocker down into the mud. Use image from Dark Knight Returns as reference, and Holden, his voiceover tells us,
Cockknocker doesn't get it.
close on the fighting in the mud, man. Go ahead.
This isn't a mud hole.
Closer on the fighting as Blunt Man grabs Cockknocker's big fisted arm.
It's a breed. Briss?
Briss.
Oh my god. Sorry. Briss. It's a briss.
Briss is where they cut your dick off in a religious ceremony. Page 16, panel 1, smaller panel. Blunt Man breaks Cockknocker's arm. We hear crack, and Holden says,
And Blunt Man's the Moyle.
"Well done, man. You knew you got once you had Briss.
Yeah, once I had Briss.
Right to Moyle. Well done. Give it up for him. You had Moyle." Meanwhile, Cockknocker says, with his Panel 2, biggest pen. You made this book so much better. Panel 2, I'm gonna need you to read it to everybody. Biggest panel on the page. A muddy Blunt Man stands over the down and defeated Cockknocker, surrounded by impressed Cockknocker cockmandos. Use image from Dark Knight Returns as reference. Chronic is getting up again, and domino-masked Holden cheers him from the sidelines. The voiceover Holden says,
And as the cockmandos looked on in horror, the hemp knight foiled the fist.
Panel 3, close on a former Cockknocker cockmando Rob, who now wears a pot leaf painted across his face. Use image from Dark Knight Returns as reference, and he goes, "The Cockknockers are dead, they are history. This is the mark of the future. Red Bank belongs to the Blunt Man." Panel 4, you know what? I get to do a voice too. I will do it as Tom Hardy's band.
The Cockknockers are dead. History. This is the mark of the future. Red Bank belongs to the Blunt Man.
Panel 4, a muddy Chronic appeals to Holden, who is taking off his smock. Blunt Man is lighting a victory joint, and Chronic says,
Yo, sidekick, I got so much fucking mud in my eyes I'm as blind as Matt Murdock. Let me borrow your schmuck so I can wipe it off.
That Matt Murdock line only gets a laugh in a place like this. Panel 5. Holden hands off his smock to Chronic as Blunt Man looks on, half smiling, and Holden says,
I can't believe this. You guys aren't just some dirt merchants around outside the convenience store dealing drugs. You're secretly superheroes and you're waging a war on crime.
Panel 1, interior quick stop cooler. We're back in the cooler, where gleeful Jay holds up Holden's smock triumphantly in his hand, with his other hand on the open door. Silent Bob's already giggling as he exits, and Jay says,
I just stole your schmuck, you fuck.
Panel 2, behind the joint holding Holden as the cooler door slams shut, leaving him alone, and the sound effect says, slam, and then off panel we hear Jay go,
Snooch.
Panel 3, Holden is alone in the cooler, lit joint still in his hand. He's dwarfed by the sodas and milks, and he crawls out to the door.
I'm gonna get that smock back one day.
You know what? I'm gonna cut there. I want a bigger Ben Affleck performance out of that. Really, don't you? In fact, don't give me Affleck. Give me Matt Damon strong. Here we go. He's not here. And action.
I'm gonna get that smock back one day.
I like that. Give it up for him, man. Panel 4. Same setup, but now Holden hits the joint, and Holden's voiceover tells us,
I never got that smock back.
and then he says out loud as he's smoking his joint, he says very small,
Foul mouth, little chucklehead.
well done. And then he hits the joint. Page 18, panel 1, interior panel room. We're back in the present. Holden's finishing his story in a close-up, and Holden says,
And I got fired for losing it, which is why it's okay. I went on to college for like a week later.
hold on, you're running too fast, and you're messing up the writing. And the writer hates that. And take 2, Craig's got this, add, look, find the inner Affleck.
Yeah.
You find it?
I'm trying to.
Here we go. Just J-Lo it.
And I got fired for losing it, which was okay because I went to college like a week or 2 later. But then I dropped out of college by the end of my sophomore year. So that's why Banky and I self-published our first book, a black and white comic called 37. which was all about that summer I spent working at the Quick Stop.
Panel 2, yeah, if you know Chasing Amy, that's the book that Banky and Holden made before Blunt Man Crime. It's called 37 and shit. And so we tie it back in. The guy who wrote this must really like those movies. Panel 2, wide on the room, so we see Holden and Alyssa on stage, as well as Sean Hartle at the mic and the seated crowd. And Holden says,
37 won an Eisner Award and turned me and Banky into Comic-Con rock stars. That's when The Contender came out, calling. That's when The Contender came, calling and offered. That's when Contender came, calling and offered us a deal.
Contender was the label that they published their comics on. Back to you.
So I set up a studio in Red Bank with my best friend, and the first book we published was based on the shit I saw that night when I got crazy high with Jay and Silent Bob in the cooler at Quick Stop.
Give it up for him. That's a mouthful. Panel 3, close on Sean Hartle for a follow-up question. So Sean says,
What the real Jay and Silent Bob think of the comic book? Jay and Silent Bob.
Close on Holden when he responds.
When I showed them my earliest pencils, instead of feeling flattered, they drew characters to look exactly like them. Silent Bob negotiated a deal on their behalf for likeness rights. So years later, when Banky sold the book to Miramax to make the movie, Jay and Silent Bob got a big chunk of change, which, if I remember correctly, they spent flying around the country to beat the shit out of the kid.
How many people want to keep somebody?
Panel 5, Sean Hartle's at the mic, and he's holding up his Chronicon badge, and he says,
What do the real Jay and Silent Bob think about the reboot that Kevin James is making right now?
Page 19, panel 1, close on Holden as he corrects him, and he says,
Kevin Smith, not Kevin James. The flick would have a fucking chance if Kevin James was directing it.
oh shit. He's throwing shade at Kevin Smith.
But I don't know what Jay and Bob think about Blunt Man v. Chronic. I haven't seen either of them since Miramax was making the first flick.
Panel 2, Interior Potsers Inc. Day flashback. Jay and Silent Bob hold up the Wizard magazine featuring their comic counterparts. Use image from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as reference, and we hear Holden say,
They came to me looking for what they called a motherfucking movie check, but I was out of Blunt Man business by then. They said they were going to Hollywood to stop it, but they didn't, and that movie became a campy cult classic.
Panel 3, Exterior Provasic Night flashback. An image from Jay from a video camera threatening the viewer. Use image from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as reference, and Holden tells us in voiceover.
For a red hot minute, they were all over the news after being mistaken for the leaders of a terrorist organization.
And on the video, Jay says,
I am the Click Commander! I make that shit work, man! I'll pitch it like this.
Panel 4, Alyssa and Holden are on stage chuckling, and Alyssa says,
Click Commander was my nickname in the 90s when I identified as a lesbian.
How do you identify now?
I'm pansexual in a committed relationship. How do you identify now?
As a dad more than anything else.
oh, remember, he's got a kid now, and reboot and stuff. I also think it's very pertinent information, though, that Alyssa identifies as pansexual. Because I took a lot of shit for calling her bisexual back in the day. Or for calling her gay. They're like, she was bi. I was like, we say that in the movie too. They're like, no, you say she was gay. I was like, leave me alone. It was 24 years ago at this point. Page 20, panel 1. Alyssa closes out the panel with Holden smiling behind her, and Alyssa says,
From co-creator of Blunt Man and Chronic to co-creator of an actual human being, you continue to make fun stuff that also has something personal to say. So we thank you, Chronic Con guest of honor, for all your work. And I thank you for letting me interview you for once. You're not only one of my favorite artists, you're one of my favorite people too.
fucking pitch perfect rendition of that long speech. Give it up for her.
My favorite thing to do when I'm blazed is read the original run of Blunt Man. It takes me straight up to the 90s, back when I was skate rat who practically lived at the mall. And I was a big image of a Contender kid in those days. So when I reread your Blunt Man books, they bring me to that happy place.
for the Joker. Panel 4, Sean asks his question from the audience. Holden and Alyssa are on stage. Holden says,
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot.
he said, terrified. Alyssa says,
Is there a question in there?
and then Sean says,
Sorry. I guess my question is, how do you come up with the idea for Blunt Man and Chronic?
don't answer him, man. Panel 5, close on a delighted Holden, who does answer him. Holden says,
Ah, you want a secret origin. Well, I got the idea for Blunt Man and Chronic and Jay and Silent Bob from the real Jay and Silent Bob.
Page 7, panel 1, exterior quick stop, day, flashback, establishing shot of the legendary store, circa 1990. Use any image from Clerks as reference. I assure you will need to make no moves.
No, I just meant that she ready to like me, lion face, lemon face, lion face, lemon face.
So you want people to be big. You want big
Thank
performances.
you. Which it isn't my job because I don't direct, but you know what? I feel like I need that
Fair
in my
enough.
life.
Fair enough. All right, so I'll need another chair and another chair. Two more
Chairs.
chairs.
I'll get the chairs. You start maybe introduce these cats. There's a mic right there.
I will. Come here. You sit here real quick. We will, yes. What's your name, my friend?
I'm Sarah.
Sarah. We'll give it up for Sarah.
Yeah.
You ever doing any acting before, Sarah?
Yeah, I've acted for 17 years.
As what?
What?
Yeah, like fuck you. Like I've been acting for 17 years. Like, are you from another planet or something?
I do improv, I teach improv.
Oh, you have for 17 years you've been involved in the arts.
Oh yeah, I mean I have like a split personality.
I thought you did one role for 17 years. I was like, who are you, fucking Fraser Crane? That's amazing. Okay, good to know. Meanwhile, we got Lala.
Lala the clown.
Lala the clown. Give it up for Lala. Lala, have you ever done a performance before?
Yes.
What kind?
Theater, college, just playing around basically.
I would say by the makeup you're used to being in front of people.
Sometimes.
Yes. And then we got, here, slide over.
You break us.
Get a chair over here. And you guys, you got a mic? And you got a mic?
Yep.
Do you have a
I
mic?
have a mic, sir. Yes,
We're
sir.
all fucking good. Tell them your name,
I'm Craig.
and we'll give it up for Craig. You start coming to our intro, and we'll show you again. Craig, you've done some acting before?
I have.
All right, man. What kind of acting?
Lots of different musical theater.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's great because there's songs in this. No. That's good. Man. That's fucking good. I'll take. Do we have only 3 copies of the script?
Yeah, we
I'll use my phone.
do that.
No, I can use my phone. They
You might
can.
need for narration and stuff.
I will use the one on my phone. Is what I'm saying. All right, let me find it. Hold on a second. There it is. No, I fucking airlifted it. God damn it. You're beautiful. God damn it. Where's the other guy? Fucking talk, bro. Cover for me.
Sorry, I was getting my mic out too. I felt
Fucking
good.
entertain while I look for this thing. Go.
Fucking no, this is entertaining enough watching you be like, oh, I am drunk. We are gonna read this and it's gonna be fun. I don't get to start for a little bit, which is a bummer. Really, I feel like I should have been on every fucking page.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's the way it is. But this has been honestly a lot of fun. We've done it like 4 other places, I believe, and it's always a blast. Oh, well, it shouldn't be a blast, especially this motley crew that I see right here. Not really motley crew, but this is going to be good. I can see everyone has the heart and the energy ready to rock this.
All right, everyone has a script.
Yep.
You are playing Alyssa. You are playing Holden McNeil, a role popularized by Ben Affleck. Can you be Affleck for us?
I can try.
Pretty damn good Ben right there. And Lala, you are going to be playing a character named Sean Hartle. Sean Hartle has never been seen in the movies, but he was referenced in Mallrats. Brody says Sean Hartle's giving everyone the inside scoop. So that is the character that you are going to be playing. Since it has never been established before, like, you know, we know what fucking Holden and Alyssa are supposed to be like. You have the most freedom with performance.
Think of your best voice. Think of Sean Hartle. Where's Sean Hartle?
Why, you could do voices? You got it, not unless you.
I can do a lot of
Mike
voices.
Lala.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go. You could do voices?
A lot of them,
Give me 5 different, you're talking about celebrity impersonations?
all kinds.
All right, give me 5 famous people. Go.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Morty. Morty Smith. How are you?
My name is Cleveland Brown. Hi, Stu Griffin here. Nice to meet you. You're looking smashing today. I just want to say that. You said creep. Yeah, of course you can't. Anyway, you want to know how I got these scars? See, my dad was a bit of a drinker. With an icy, put it in my mom's mouth. He looked at me and he said, "Why so serious?"
That's good, man. All right, so you're going to play Sean Hartle as Heath Ledger. That's the fucking move. Can either of you do impressions?
Absolutely not.
So, you guys are going to be using your own voices to play these characters. But remind you, they have been played before. So don't take them too far off the page. Everyone kind of knows what to expect with those casts. I'll be here directing, so I'll keep you on the rails and stuff. So we have our Sean Hartle, we have our Holden McNeil, we have our Alyssa Jones. Silent Bob has no lines, but we have Jason Mewes essaying the role of Jay.
Yes.
I will do all of the screen direction, as well as any incidental shit I need to. Here we go, kids. Quick Stops, Issue 1, Holden Back the Years by Kevin Smith. Second draft, April 2nd, well, that says 21, should be 22. Stoner wrote this. Page 1, Panel 1, Exterior Hollywood Chronicon Convention Center Day. Establishing shot of all sorts of variations of Jay and Silent Bob or Blunt Man and Chronic cosplayers headed into the convention building for the 10th annual Hollywood Chronicon. And in parentheses, I instruct the artist to use image from Jay and Silent Bob reboot as reference. And the narration box says, the 10th annual Hollywood Chronicon. And then we hear the off-panel voice of Alyssa Jones, who's telling a story, and she says,
So, with Holden's blessing, next year, I'll be making his award-winning comic book Chasing Amy into a live-action series for Netflix.
well done, give it up for her, man. She did the first time. No direction necessary. Panel 2, Interior Hollywood Chronicon Floor Day. The place is packed with even more variations of Jay and Silent Bob or Blunt Man and Chronic cosplayers, all buying or selling Jay and Silent Bob or Blunt Man and Chronic merchandise. Use image from Jay and Silent Bob reboot as reference. We continue, we hear the off-panel Alyssa say,
But Netflix wants an edgier title than Chasing Amy, and Holden and I have been having a hard time coming up with something we like better.
I'm gonna stop you right there. That sounded pornographic. But I like it. I like it very much. It makes me want to go back and remake Chasing Amy with that performance all throughout. Holden, I'm having a hard time. I love it. Okay, panel 3, Interior Convention Center Hallway Day. The hallway is clogged with Blunt Man and Chronics and Jays and Silent Bobs. They're headed to various panel rooms, and we hear Alyssa say,
So since the story is going to be told from my perspective, this time, instead of his perspective, like he did in the original comic book, Holden suggested a new title.
Panel 4, close on a placard outside of a panel room, kind of like this, indicating what the panel is that's going on inside. The placard says, Chronicon Guest of Honor, Holden McNeil's Blunt Man Beyond podcast, live recording in progress. And we hear off-panel Holden say,
Tell the audience what you think I should call the Chasing Amy Netflix show. Holden.
God damn it, that's wrong. So that's that's Alyssa's line.
Okay.
Even though it says Holden, again, written by a stoner. Even though it says off-panel Holden, take it off-panel Alyssa.
Tell the audience what you think I should call the Chasing Amy Netflix show, Holden.
Okay, now we're back on track. So pages 2 and 3, we got a double splash page. And here it says double splash. This guy was real baked when he wrote it. Interior panel room day. Alyssa Jones and Holden McNeil, they're on stage recording the episode of this podcast, Blunt Man Beyond, that we saw Holden wrapping up all the equipment from in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So basically this whole issue takes place right before that scene in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Holden smiles through his punchline delivery as Alyssa laughs heartily. We're behind the seated row in the front so we can see the audience is laughing and clapping as well. Use image from Jay and Silent Bob Reboot as reference. I'm going to take you back, Alyssa. Give us that setup line one more time, and then we're going to go right into Holden so it sounds a little better. So take 2 on that last line that says off panel Holden, which is really off panel Alyssa.
Tell the audience what you think.
Hold on, I gotta tell you action. That's how this works. And action.
Tell the audience what you think I should call the Chasing Amy Netflix show, Holden.
And Holden says?
I said Alyssa she should call it Holding My Dick.
And the audience laughs, unlike this one. And they clap as well. The credits box says,
Yeah.
The credits box says Dark Horse Comics and Secret Stash Press present Holden McNeil, Alyssa Jones, and Jay and Silent Bob, and Holding Back the Years, written by Kevin Smith with art by To Be Determined. Page 4, panel 1. Alyssa turns to Holden for a sidebar question. She says,
How many episodes of this podcast have you recorded now?
This will be episode 210.
But this is the first time that you've been interviewed on it? Is that right?
keep going.
Correct. Normally, I'm the one doing the interviewing, talking to the top talent in the industry, legends like Bill Sienkiewicz,
Close enough.
Jim Lee, and even Stan the Man, a few years before he passed away. So I feel bad for
You know what? Cut. I'm gonna hold you right there. Let's hear that Batman Affleck that you were doing.
All
Take
right.
it again, and action.
Normally, I'm the one doing the interviewing, talking to the top talent in the industry, legends.
I'm gonna cut you right there. You gotta go deeper with that Ben Affleck Batman.
Okay.
Who's out here? All right. And action.
Normally, I'm the one doing the interviewing, talking to the top talent in the industry.
Now we're sounding graphic again. I'm gonna let you go back to your normal voice. Here we go. And action.
Normally, I'm the one doing the interviewing, talking to the top talent in the industry, legends like Jim Lee and even Stan the Man a few years before he passed away. So I feel bad for you in this audience because we usually get way more talented guests than me in Blunt Man Beyond.
And Alyssa says,
But when he feels bad, he just dries his eyes on all his Netflix money. Okay, last question for Chronicon. Guest of honor, Holden McNeil. Who's it gonna be? How about...
panel 4, the audience is filled with Blunt Man and Chronic clones of Jay and Silent Bob cosplayers, but Sean Hartle is standing at the microphone wearing a Comic Toast t-shirt featuring the logo from the comic book store in Mallrats. And Alyssa says,
You.
Hi, Mr. McNeil.
oh my God, that's unsettling.
Oh, God.
Panel 5, Holden is smiling somehow through that. Alyssa is rolling her eyes. Holden says,
Whoa, bro. Mr. McNeil is my father, sir. Just call me Holden. Or guest of honor, Holden McNeil.
Patsy.
Alyssa says Patzer, but it's really Potzer. That's my bad. It's something called each other in Chasing Amy, and I stole it from, what was that movie? Better Movie. Searching for Bobby Fischer. It refers to somebody who's like somebody who's not good at chess, Potzer. So, I'm gonna let you do that again. And action.
Patsy.
Yeah, there it is. Page 5, panel 1. Closer on a delighted Holden. Holden says,
Wait a minute. Is that a Comic Toast t-shirt? Are you from Jersey?
and Sean Hartle's all smiles. He says,
I am. Yeah, it is.
don't forget to do the lip flip again. Do it again.
My name is Sean Hartle.
So enjoyable. Everybody should talk like this.
I'm from Middletown, and I used to go to Comic Toast in the Eden Prairie every week until Brody Bruce opened up the secret stash in Red Bank. I've known Brody since high school. So I switched stores and gave it my business.
The really fucking sad thing is whoever reads this book is not going to read it with Heath Ledger's voice. I'm going to have to include a note that read as Heath Ledger's Joker. Go ahead.
That Steve Dave guy made it easy to leave. He was always such a tool.
And Holden says,
That Steve Day guy is a fucking tool. I used to buy all my books from the store, and homie would relish telling me how much my comics sucked to my face.
Panel 4, Interior Comicology Day Flashback. Holden and Banky Edwards are at a comic rack filled with Blunt Man and Chronic Issue 2. Use image from Chasing Amy deleted scene as reference, and we hear Holden saying in voiceover.
But one of the funniest things I ever saw in my life happened at this store the day issue 2 of Blunt Man hit the stands.
Panel 5, Holden and Banky get shit from Steve, Dave, and the fanboy at the counter. Use image from Chasing Amy deleted scene as reference, Holden says.
Steve Dave was talking shit about the book to me and Banky, and he pissed Banky off so bad.
Panel 6, Exterior Red Bank Street Day Flashback. Banky is writing in his checkbook with his foot on a metal trash can. Holden's baffled, standing beside him. Holden says,
Banky left the store, wrote a check for $5,000, taped it to the garbage can.
Page 6, Panel 1, Steve, Dave, and the fanboy react to the garbage can coming through the window. Use image from Chasing Amy deleted scene as reference. Holden's voiceover tells us.
And then Banky hurled the garbage can through Steve Dave's window. Dude never said jack shit again.
That is a scene that we deleted from the movie. It was the original opening scene of Chasing Amy and shit. So if you're deeply familiar with that flick and you see this in a comic book, you're gonna come so hard. Panel 2, wide shot of Holden and Alyssa on stage and Sean at the mic in the audience. Holden is more delighted than Alyssa, as Holden says.
But fuck him. You're from Middletown? Our Middletown? Did you go north or south?
I went north.
Just changes the meaning completely. Holden says.
Alyssa went to north. I went to Hudson.
Calm down. We share some geography with the guy, not DNA. Okay, fellow Jersey expat, what's your question for guest of honor with all his fancy badges?
Panel 3, Sean Hartle finally asks his question. He says,
I just started smoking weed again.
that's the fucking Batman sequel I want to see.
Yes!
After
What about me? I want to be part of this.
I'm going to show my daughter that picture and be like, this is the child I wanted. And I say, now listen, man. All you got to do is wear this t-shirt, because I brought one of those, and I'm going to see if she'll wear my face on her chest. She won't. She makes fun of me for wearing like my face on my chest. She's like, Dad, it's so cringe how you wear like Jay and Silent Bob shirts. And I'm like, I can't fucking expect somebody to wear Jay and Silent Bob shirts if I won't fucking do it. I was like, and you want to make fun of somebody, Jay lives in these free fucking shirts, man.
I love these motherfuckers. They're soft.
Very soft.
I don't have a Kevin Smith club though shirt, bro. What the?
Well, you know who runs that Kevin Smith club? Your wife. Ask her.
I told you wear a penny on like your face on me.
I would love you to wear my face all over fucking time. Morgan, who turned you on to this Jay and Silly Bob nonsense?
It was my dad, but I was on iTunes, scrolling through iTunes, and I see Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I'm like, that looks like a funny movie. I was probably about 7. Nobody called the cops, please. I am okay.
He's a fine father.
I am okay.
So far, shit's working out for Morgan, man. But I'll be honest with you, Morgan 7's way too good. But although now I think about it, like when I remember showing the kid the movie when she was little, she was like, we made the movie, she's in it, and she was about 1 at the time we made it, right? So I remember we showed Harley with the volume down, and like it blew her mind, because we're like, that's you, that's baby you, and she got really freaked out by that. And she couldn't express it, but it felt like she was like, nobody asked my permission. How the fuck did I wind up in this and shit like that? But when she got to, with the volume down, it was very colorful, And she like chuckled a few times, and I realized, oh, this movie's made for kids. It kind of was. Basically, if you strip everything away, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is the Muppet movie with curses. So I can't wait to see the kid and be like, look, I need you to meet your new brother Morgan. And I need you to take a page out of his book. It meant the world for me to see you today and for you to come up here. Thank you. Give it up for Morgan.
Begin to tell you how excited I am to introduce these two individuals. First of all, I'm Craig from the Front Row Network in PR, Illinois. It's been such an amazing con. Who's had a great con so far? Are you excited for Sunday?
Yeah.
Looking more excited for tonight, right?
Yeah.
This is literally a dream come true for me, so I'm not going to take much time at all, other than to say I'm more than happy to introduce to you Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
My side, even though there's water here.
I'm always confused because in all the different shows I sit on different sides of the
No, I
table.
feel like it's always been the left. I know that because you're right, no, but some of the shows you're on my right.
Yeah.
But here, you're really fucking things up.
I know. You forgot we were doing a show. This is like a private conversation. Every saga has a middle age, and this is what happens when Jay and Silent Bob get old. I'm Kevin Smith.
Jason Mewes!
We are in St. Louis, Missouri. Kids, put your hands together so the folks at home know you were real. It is the Fan Expo St. Louis. That's why we've all gathered, which makes for such a lovely sightseeing occasion. I was just at my hotel on a balcony enjoying a smoke, and when somebody gave me, and I was like,
That was me.
"Is that you? Thank you. It's fucking phenomenal, man." What do you want?
That's why he doesn't know what side he's sitting on and shit. He's like, oh,
How good that shit was. I was like, I don't know where to sit. I was when you walked away, I was like, oh, I didn't know that Missouri was weed legal. And somebody was like, it's not. Oh shit, I'll put this away. But I was on the balcony enjoying that fine fucking smoke that you offered up, thank you, and taking in the scene below. And the scene below were people leaving Comic-Con. Clearly nobody coming to this show because there was everybody like heading out and shit. So I could tell this story. I'm sitting up there smoking, and it's just like a gorgeous cross-section view of all these people cosplaying. I saw 4 Doctor Stranges, and people walking around in a city in a very colorful cape just really does it for me. Like, it's what you see in the books, generally speaking. So like, to see people walking around like that, it's like, that's what it would be like. So I'm sitting there smoking, and there's a little park opposite me, with a fountain and shit like that, some greenery. It's beautiful. I mean, we've been here many times. I probably love St. Louis. The people here always treat us well. We've done 1,000 shows at the pageant and stuff like that. So it's an incredibly livable city, like, and walk friendly and shit like that. So I'm watching people go to and fro, and you know those little bikes you can rent?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I see a motherfucker on one of those bikes zipping like down the sidewalk, just enjoying the day. For those not here, it was like fucking 85, 90 degrees, gorgeous day. Everything about the day was fantastic. I say that because I smoke a man's joint, thank you. everything was positive. So I'm smoking and watching this dude, he's just tearing ass down the sidewalk. And there's nobody on the sidewalk, so it's not like, look at this asshole. He is living his best fucking life, man. And he is like, you know, these things, I've never ridden one, but I believe they're electric, right?
Yeah.
So you don't got a foot pusher.
No, it's crude.
He was using the electric and foot pushing it. So he was just like, I'm watching him going like, look, I've never done it, but I think he's doing it wrong. But he was having such a good time, and there was nobody to tell him otherwise and shit. And then out of fucking nowhere, man, boom, he wrecked and went straight the fuck right into, thank God, into the dirt. Like right perfectly into a dirt patch and shit like that. And you know, I'm like far away, I'm like 10 floors up. And I'm certainly not gonna be like, ah ha ha, but like I didn't.
Did you want to?
No, not ah ha ha. I wanted to fucking say, like, are you okay with
Here I come to save the day. You're like, oh wait, shit.
I didn't fucking have to because that was a beautiful moment, man. This motherfucker's face down the dirt before I could say anything. I swear to you. Dude dressed like Superman. Dude dressed like Superman comes out of nowhere, helps this motherfucker to his feet, man. And you know, I'm smoking my man's weed, and I'm like, this is the way it should be. Where's Batman?
Yeah. The only thing better would be if all of a sudden you turn around and it was fucking Tom Welling and shit. He's like, no?
Well, I mean, it would be Tom Welling because he never put the fucking suit on. So. No, he just went like this at the end. That's not Tom Welling's fault. That was like the point of the show.
Well, that was the point.
We're never gonna put him in the fucking suit because back then, people were like scared of comic book outfits and comic book projects. Like, think about it. Smallville was marketed as, you'll never see him in the suit because that's silly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here's Cyborg, you know, like fucking
stuff, right?
Well, now it's like you can't do a thing without the proper suit. Like if you do a suit or an outfit that's like a little bit off, they'll call you on the internet. You remember, we've been around so long, when they released X-Men, they were fucking dressed like the Matrix. And they even made a joke about like, what do you want us to do? Wear the brown spandex or whatever, yellow spandex or whatever? Like it was such a stupid notion. Like we'd never dress him like that. Now, next time you see Wolverine in a movie, I guarantee you he looks like he fucking looked in his early
Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
Did you see Doctor Strange yet?
I have not. The newest one I have not.
Why would I ask you about the old one? From my I was like, if you caught up with the first Doctor Strange, let's talk about it. There's a current Doctor Strange that's out, and it's fucking amazing. And now you just threw me from fucking. Oh, when you've seen trailers, I want I got the trailer for you. Has everyone seen Doctor Strange?
Yes.
With a show of hands, who hasn't seen Doctor Strange? No, put them together, motherfuckers. Alright, that's a lot. Fuck you, you're getting spoiled. That's on you. How come you haven't seen this shit? There's a moment, it's in the trailer. Everyone seems to, who's seen the trailers know this, so I don't think this will be that surprising. There was a beat where Professor Xavier shows up. Oh, yeah. Guess not everyone saw the trailer. And he's in his chair from the animated series. And when he rolls into the room, the fucking theme was
keep on rolling.
They're like, for the first time ever, we're gonna make a wheelchair joke. No, it was fucking.
No fucking way.
So the working theory is, they weren't saying this is Patrick Stewart from the 20th Century Fox X-Men movies. They seem reticent to do that. But what they're setting up is this is Professor X from the animated X-Men universe because they're doing a new animated show on Disney Plus that's a sequel series to the series that you fucking love so much. That one.
So it's gonna be an animated series, but it's just
But it's as if they picked up with the same voice cast as if they picked up right from that. I think it's called X-Men '97 or something. That being said, I told you all that to say this. Next time you see Wolverine in a movie, he will look like that. I guarantee you he's in that yellow costume.
That'll be awesome.
Because that's how they're gonna get people to show up again. Because like Hugh Jackman did Wolverine to death. You've seen Wolverine fucking do everything, including die. You know, as played by Hugh Jackman. The only thing you haven't fucking seen is him wear that goofy yellow outfit. Get you back to the theater. I've seen every. Not that Wolverine. Think about every one of those characters. I mean, you didn't see Doctor Strange, as you said, but in Doctor Strange, spoilers, fucking Black Bolt shows up from the Inhumans. Now, they did a Inhumans TV show not too long ago.
Oh, I know. I've seen it twice.
You watched the whole run twice?
Yeah.
You may be the only person who watched it even once, let alone fucking twice. Nobody's seen it. But Anson Mount, who played Black Bolt in the show, they brought him back to play Black Bolt in the movie. But they gave him a comics accurate costume, including the tuning fork. It was fucking astounding. That's the world we live in.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I lived through that stupid heart attack 4 years ago, so I can see Black Bolt with a tuning fork. I mean, you know, having my kid and watch her get a house and fucking, growing old with my wife, that's nice. But that tuning fork, I was like, oh, what an age of wonders we live in.
All that stuff, like I think about when we first started going to cons, and it was exciting, like when I found the first Fantastic Four movie. And
Yes,
Dolph
Roger
Lundgren's,
Corman.
yeah, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. All these comic book movies, it was awesome that they had them at all, but none of them wore costumes or really, the CG
Dolph
stuff.
Lundgren Punisher had like a fucking skull on the tip of a knife.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know it. You would have put it on a shirt.
Yeah, like if you didn't know the comics, you
But
would
then
have
the new guy, what's his name? You can't protect a Rick.
Oh, that's dude.
What's his name? John Bernthal. What a great actor, man. He fucking.
You can't protect him, Rick.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just pick that up.
No, yeah, I like it. I love it.
He wore the fucking skull right on his chest.
And I like that they put Kingpin in the outfit.
Yeah.
Too, finally. Oh.
What, you watched Hawkeye? What are you talking about?
I watched that twice too. Yeah.
You watched Hawkeye twice?
Yeah, dude. I really love it.
I find it charming that you watched that.
Dude, I love all. I honestly, I enjoy every comic show or movie that's been out. And again, I'm not saying everyone has been like that's what I'm saying. I know a lot of people didn't necessarily like Inhumans, but for them to have an Inhumans show at all to me is exciting. They have a dog that fucking transports to the world, and he can't talk, but he talked a little bit. Black Bolt talked a little bit in that. And like,
He did talk in it?
Yeah, like
Well, then that's wrong, because he can't talk.
Well, he didn't
Unless
talk.
he's gonna fucking
Sorry,
kill
he didn't
somebody.
talk. He opened his mouth. Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, they showed that in the show.
Yeah.
Because that happens in the movie
Oh,
too.
it's fucking awesome. I can't wait to see the movie. I really wanted to go see it, but I was gonna. The first day I got here early enough that I was right down the street from here.
Yes.
They're showing it
Doctor
at the
Strange.
theater. Yeah, and I really want to see Doctor Strange, but we've been here, but we're gonna be in Florida all week next week, so I definitely want to go then.
We are going to Florida tomorrow. When I leave here, I'm going to go to Orlando, and then Jay, when he leaves Monday morning, is going to go to Orlando as well. And we're doing a movies pop-up, opens up on Wednesday. But since we're already on this side of the country, we're like, fuck it, let's just go to Florida early, and we'll go see my mom. And then even one step better, Jay was like, let's take your mom to Disney World. And I was like, my mom is not going to be fucking interested in that shit. My mother was like, I will totally go to Disney World.
Yes!
I was like, Mom, like you've lived in Florida for like 20 fucking years. Like you can go to Disney World anytime you want. My brother works there. My brothers work there. Donald and his husband Jerry, they worked at like Disney.
20 years now, right?
Like 20 years. So my mom is no stranger to fucking Disney. But my mom goes like, I was like, Mom, why would you why would you want to go after all this time? And she goes, because I've been to Disney many times. I've never been there with Jay and Silent Bob. I was like, Mom, expecting that we were walking in the park and people are going to be like, well, this way, sir. Well, that is not going to fucking happen. So I hedged my bets, and you can buy a tour guide. It's fucking pricey, man, but you can, if you're going to Disney, you can buy a tour guide where they'll get you to the front of every fucking line and shit like that. Which we probably could have got to the front of most lines because my mom's gonna be in a wheelchair, but still, I got the guide. That way my mom will always feel like, oh, fucking yeah. You know my son, like, he's fucking paid to know your son. Yeah.
You're like slipping them punch, you're like, call me Big Man Smith. Call me right or direct each person.
Why would my mom want to hear me called Big Man Smith?
I don't know, maybe something cooler, but you know.
My kid found out that fucking we were getting the Disney guide, because that means, again, you get to the front of every fucking line. And my kid was like, ooh, can I come see Grandma? I was like, for the first time in 20 years. Don't you think that's going to be a little sus? And she's just like, well, it just sounds like it's going to be a good time. So she's meeting us as well. She's flying out, I guess tonight on a red eye. Now, wow, this is going to be inside baseball and shit. I'll tell you what a terrible parent I am. But when you fly from California, which is a weed legal state, they don't give a fuck if you're carrying a metric fuck ton of weed. They don't give a shit. Like, they've gone through my bags. I've seen them flag my bag, and I sweat balls because I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna make an example of me, of all fucking people. And they open up the bag and they'll pull out like one of my pins and be like, this set the machine off. You're free to go. And you're like, and they will paw through the weed. They'll go through it, fucking, it's not like open weed, it's all pre-rolls and little tubes and shit. But they know exactly what it is, but they don't give a fuck. That's not what they're looking for and stuff. That being said, there's some states you can't fly from in that way. Any state that's not like weed legal. So flying from here with as much weed as I generally carry would land me in jail. So I, said to my kid, I was like, look, I'm going to St. Louis and then I'm going to Florida, but you're going right from California to Florida. She goes, I was like, well, I need, look, I got the guide, and since the kid was like, I want to come out, I was like, okay. And she was like, will you fly me out? And I was like, you know what, why not? Like, the fact that she's 23 and still wants to do anything with me, I'm like, fucking great, I'll fly out. She goes, what about Austin, which is her boyfriend? And I was like, yes, of course, I would never want to split you guys up, but like, fucking, if you're both flying out, you gotta fly coach and shit. And she's like, oh, of course. And then she calls me 2 days later and she's like, Dad, the first class ticket is only $500 more than coach. Who fucking raised you, man? My wife was like, don't fucking bend. She's gonna call you about upgrading to first class. Don't you fucking do it. I was like, I won't. But then she was like, please, Dad. And I was like, what the fuck? We have one kid. Like, what am I saving all the money for? She gets it all anyway. And I would rather give it to her while I'm alive and shit, or like, not hold it back from
See
her.
the joy in her face and her voice.
I mean, there's that, but more importantly, I don't want her to fucking Menendez us in the night. She's like, I just need the money, Dad. So I'm like, fucking give her whatever she wants. So I said, you know what, I approved it. I paid for her upgrade and shit like that. And then my kid was like, I was like, well, you're gonna stay at Grandma's, right? And she's like, oh God, no. I was like, well, where are you gonna stay? I'm staying at Grandma. She's like, well, that means there's not gonna be enough room. Me and Austin are probably gonna stay at one of the parks.
She texted me where I was staying.
She was like, where's Jay staying? I was like, at my mom's. And she's like, that's not true. So I had to fucking pay for a hotel for the fucking kid as well. Thankfully, my brothers work at the parks and stuff, so they got like a discount, so we got half off of the hotel, but it was still fucking expensive. So this kid, like for this little trip that Jay was like, let's take your mom to Disney World. And I was like, she probably ain't gonna want to do it. It's gonna cost me a fuck ton of money. So at this point, I had zero compunction about being like, look, you're bringing the weed. And she was like, yeah, I'll bring the weed, I don't care. And I was like, all right, but I just don't want you to get scared when you see how much weed it is. She's like, I fly with weed all the time. I was like, yes, but you fly with a personal amount of weed and shit, I imagine. A couple joints, correct? She's like, yes. I was like, I'm gonna hand you an illegal amount of fucking weed. That in any other state, you'd probably be fucking criminally prosecuted for it. She's like, you okay with it? I said, you okay with that? And she goes, yeah, man, as long as you're paying for everything, sure.
That's his bag.
That's what I said. I was like, look, push it off on your boyfriend if you're really worried. And shit. I think it'll be fine. And she goes, you better never tell anybody that this is how you parent.
This way, he said, was I any good? So I want to change that a little bit in that, Brian and Jeff, you had a chance to basically see his entire career at this point. Can you talk about how he's evolved as a director from Clerks to now Clerks 3? Jeff, you want to take it first?
Sure. He's pretty much the same. I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it. He's, he creates a very easygoing set, so we have a lot of fun, and he's gotten more popular, but he's kind of the same guy. We shoot just the same as we shot Clerks, except he's awake for a lot of stuff now.
He's a lot higher these days.
He is a lot higher.
Now, because when you shot Clerks, you had to do those overnights, right? Because the store was open during the day. So that had to have been a little bit of a different experience as well. But Brian, what about you? How do you see the evolution of Kevin's career from start to now?
Well, you see it literally in the writing first off. Like every script that he finishes, the next film that he makes, the next script, you can see it build off what he had learned from the first one, and then the second one, and the third, and so on. So what's great about the third Clerks is it's the best of what people loved about the very first film, this very small slice of life, the day of the life of these two clerks, but added the second one where our world expanded to involve people like Rosario Dawson as Becky and Trevor Furman as Elias, and so you see them again for the third one, and then just the heart of it all, like if anybody remembers the jail scene from the second one where this man crushes it and gives you a big poke in the feels, there's a lot of that in this script too. So as a writer is where the most of his growth is. As a director, he now keeps an eye out for the actor's point of view on a lot of things, which in the beginning was just like, just say my words and let's get this right kind of thing. He's never said it that way. But that was the kind of...
said it to me. Yeah, he's a tyrant.
So,
he hits me with a sock filled with quarters.
It used to be, he used to do it with love, and it was just oranges. He'd just hit you with a bag of oranges. So that kind of change has been amazing to see in him as well. And the fact that now, he has his daughter working with him, and she's just amazing to work with. And other people now, they want to really work with Kevin a lot. There's a lot of people who just like, I totally want to work with Kevin. I like his dialogue. His dialogue is usually the star of his writing.
I mean, after me, it goes me and then his dialogue.
It's really meaty dialogue. So as someone that isn't necessarily an actor full-time, how do you adapt to just like chewing on that Kevin Smith dialogue?
Cue cards.
Cue cards.
No, I don't know. I like, I guess it's never been too, maybe I'm just lucky I can memorize lines, but I think it's just that I think they're funny, so I want to get them right. I'm not really sure. I don't feel like I definitely didn't answer your question at all.
No, you did. And actually, what's really funny is in talking to him, he said, you have to make sure that everyone knows Trevor's the smartest person in the room.
He's fucking with you.
He said I had to lead a question with just Orson Welles loves magic.
No,
dot.
Let me just this shit down. So we were in New Jersey last weekend doing the 25th anniversary of The Secret Stash, and I was in the car with him and Jen, his wife, and their friend Vinny, who's another really nice dude. And I started going off on this rant, as I sometimes want to do, about this Orson Welles weird movie called F for Fake. And it's really good, and I just, when I get kind of interested or excited about something, I just don't shut up about it. I'm sort of as if I'm high, the one that's high. And and I was just going on, and there's this, Orson Welles, it's kind of like how I am right now. Anyway, I was going on and on about it, and Orson Welles does magic tricks in it, and so I think Kevin has laid a booby trap for me by planting that seed in your brain.
Oh yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Kevin. Best friend middle.
I can see how you can chew on his dialogue, though. Yeah, that's really great. No, so I also want to ask about those fan interactions that you've had. Now, Brian, you mentioned that you've been talking about this film for about 30 years now. So in that time, this independent film becomes so important in so many people's lives. So can you account for us some of the experiences you've had being able to speak to your fans and speak to fans of the movie and sort of what impact that's had on you personally?
It's really great over the years. I've been doing these kind of Comic Cons and Horror Cons and stuff since 2009 or so. And so in meeting fans and now now, as years gone by, like today even, I was like a dad talking about how he just showed it to his son, and his son really likes it, and this generational passing down of something that we just did over a spring in '93 that we just thought we would only get a VHS copy of when it was finished to show friends, like this is what we were fucking around with in the middle of the night when you thought we were doing porn.
To be fair, you were also
Hey!
doing porn.
A little bit. But that was the cut scenes. But they were very short. Anyway, so it's been nice to be able to talk to fans who really enjoy it. But it also is, we've been very blessed to have someone like Kevin Smith be also very prolific in making more films after that and developing, you know, a cinematic universe before the Marvel cinematic universe, where if you watch Clerks, if you watch Morons, and Chasing Amy and Dog, and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and then Clerks 2, and then the reboot, and now hopefully this fall the Clerks 3. It's this storyline that you just see these guys over, you know, a couple of decades, see where they're at, and it reflects these people that people can relate to. You've either worked retail or worked some shitty ass job that you were overeducated for yet underemployed, or you've been into an establishment like these fucking guys don't know what they're doing at all. So I think that's where the relationship and relatability is.
Now I want to go to Jeff, but also I want to mention, because I mentioned how much this film and these films have had an impact on fans. So if you have questions, I'd love for you to start lining up at the microphones. I want to save about 5, maybe 7 minutes at the end of the panel for something very special that I think we could do as well. So I'm going to tease that now. And Trevor is already so happy about it as well. But Jeff, can you talk about your interactions? Now, you were just at the Silver Anniversary Bash for the Secret Stash out in New Jersey. And Kevin actually mentioned this week that you, in particular, were sort of, you know, you were emotional about that experience, it seemed like, because of the fans. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
I was emotional because I got to see Trevor. Yeah, no, you know, I for a long time didn't do or take part in these cons or anything like that. And shortly after I decided to do Clerks 3, I said, you know, I'm going to be all in. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to go out there and meet the fans. I don't know why. For some reason, I always thought that cons, I was going to be like plastered against the wall with people just hitting me with Star Wars questions. So I was very nervous about coming out to these things.
By the way, if you line up to the microphone to ask a question, get a Star Wars question in the chamber for Jeff.
Do not ask me Star Wars questions.
This guy right here, he has a Star Wars question. I know, he's coming. Oh no,
Never mind, that false alarm.
So yeah, no, coming out and meeting the people, it's been great. And it's like Brian said, it's so strange to like have parents introducing their kids to the movie. I mean, it's a very bizarre thing.
Yeah, when I see parents introducing their kids to the movie, I'm like, no. Why? Watch My Neighbor Totoro.
So on the Clerks X, the 10-year anniversary, we get to see the original audition tapes. So I want to know, have you ever revisited those, or have you ever checked those out, or is it like, that's in your memory, that's in the past, I'm going to move forward from that? Right?
I remember when we were ready to shoot for Clerks 3, I was like, who the fuckers I'm working with again? Hold on a second. And I was like, oh, shit. No, that's something I haven't seen in a while. I remember the audition. I remember it's a great workshop for actors who want to learn what not to do in an audition, because it was awful for me, from my aspect of it. But in watching other people do their auditions and just see, like, man, if I could go back and tell that 23-year-old, you know, the important advice about this upcoming movie, which would have been, you should have gotten a fucking good lawyer. I'm just kidding. Not really, but I should have. It's that type of thing where I was very blessed to see this, and so when I go back to have people see those auditions, it's such a weird time capsule that should be buried in dirt for 50 years.
How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I don't watch any of that stuff. Yeah, no, it was weird. Like when I went to the audition, I had never even read the script or anything. I actually went there with a friend of mine and wound up making fun of him. I was like, dude, you're a terrible actor. And he was like, well, then you auditioned. So
That is such a villain origin story.
I went up and I auditioned for Jay. I asked Kevin, like, what? I'm going to go up there and audition. Who should I be? He said, I need you to audition for Jay because I wrote this part for Jay, but I'm not sure Jay is going to be able to do it. So I read for Jay.
God, what a fucking interesting multiverse Clerks thing that would be
a whole different movie.
Just like noich.
And then for Mallrats,
Daniel, the GM?
he had to bring in a lot of people to read for Jay, including Seth Green. So there's like a ton of different multiverse Jays out there. And that's great.
Jeff doing the tuck. Like, there's so many things. I need to. Somebody invent a portal gun like in Rick and Morty. So check this out.
What's the origin story for Elias, though? How do you get into Clerks 2?
Well, I auditioned for a wonderful movie called Now You Know, written and directed by the brilliant and talented Jeff Anderson. And he also stars in it. It's a triple threat. He does a lot of singing. No, I was in Now You Know, Kevin. It's like I think it's a really great movie, and Kevin's got a cameo in the first scene. He's super funny. Kevin and Jen, they're both super funny in that bachelor party scene. And he saw the movie and just asked a few years later, he asked me to do Clerks 2.
That's excellent. Now I'll say, I don't see, it's very hard to see, but if anybody has a question, move up to the microphones and we can definitely start going to those as well. But I do want to know as well that when you're bringing out Clerks 3 and you're getting ready for that film release this upcoming fall, is there some kind of message that you want to talk about that film? Again, not necessarily spoiling it, but we know that Kevin has said,
I don't care.
You'll say the whole thing.
Kevin will sue me, but it's fine.
Brian, we know that Kevin has lended his own personal story a bit to your story in this film, correct? So is there some kind of message or anything like that you want people to know going into Clerks 3?
The message, the deep, and it's heartfelt from all of us, message that we have about Clerks 3 is, please go see it in theaters.
Yes.
From the bottom of our hearts.
From the bottom
We
of our
need
wallets. I mean hearts. No, but here's the thing, and I'm being really honest with, is that the way that producers see what they should invest in is, what have you done lately kind of attitude. It is what it is, that's the machine that it is. So Kevin has things in the chamber like a Mallrats 2. Would y'all like to see a Mallrats 2?
Yeah.
All right, well then get to the theaters and spend money for Clerks 3, because then they go, oh, people actually will go out to theaters for this guy's movies. Do you want to see a Clerks cartoon?
Yes.
Get out and see Clerks 3 so that we can have people go, yes, we'll green light this.
Right,
and that's what they do.
Do you have the sense that we're perhaps preaching to the converted a bit here? Are there a bunch of undecideds in this audience?
No. There's like 5 of you guys, and you know who you are. You're going for some sort of torrent from Russia or China, seeing all that's out in theaters right now. Some of you have probably been watching the Multiverse fucking movie right now with some fucking Chinese lettering at the bottom. I know you can.
That's a good one.
It's funny how they don't. Damn it, he's caught on.
Jeff, anything about Clerks 3 that you want to mention as a message of the film, or anything that you want people to think about as they're getting ready to see it this fall?
No.
Okay. I guess
He's trying to trick me into giving you some information.
I'm really trying to.
falling for it.
I'm trying to.
So the movie,
You're going to spoil the whole
the
thing.
movie begins in the year 3044. Mankind has
Go.
just a laser.
It's like
I warned you.
That's magic, right? All right, we do have some people. I want to make sure we get to your questions as well. What are you wearing? I can't see. Go up to the microphone.
Have you ever played the video game Metro?
Yes.
Yeah, your Metro guy.
Hansa. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Awesome. Who are you and what question do you have?
My name's Elias, and I was wondering if you had any...
Did you just say Elias?
Whoa.
Everybody pause. 2 names are the same name.
I know, yeah. Should I change it or something?
No, you're good.
Okay. I was wondering if you have any bootleg copies of Dogma? Because I can't find it anywhere.
All right, so
Is that what it is?
the question was, where can we find Dogma? Dogma, a fantastic movie written by
On
Kevin,
YouTube?
came out in 2000 or 2001, I forget which, is owned personally by Harvey Weinstein's estate, personally. So he's in a bit of a, he's busy at the moment.
Really
And
busy.
so his estate is figuring what to do, because some people want parts of that estate for things that he may have done to them. And so until that is settled, someone is going to buy the rights to his personal catalogs of films that he owns, and by then, they'll hopefully have a re-release of Dogma. But in the meantime, it's like on eBay and stuff for like $80 to $120 to $160 and so on. But
I do think, yeah.
Watch it for free on YouTube, you son of a bitches.
Well,
Yeah.
I want my
20 cents of residuals, goddammit.
I heard that over here too. I believe in that Kevin Smith club, if you are at some tier, right? Somebody's nodding at me.
I believe the Mallrats tier. You can see it's in the Smithsonian reading.
All right. So
yeah. So if you want to actually pay attention.
so if you want to get around it that way, you can as well. But does that answer your question?
Yeah. Great. Harvey's probably screening it in prison. You got to give a ramen to get in.
Isn't that guy hasn't done enough harm? He has to like fucking steal
You can see
from people.
You can see Dogma if you bring me a potted plant.
What a great message.
Who goes to the library, nerd? Jocks like me don't do that.
All right, I'm going to go to this microphone now. Oh, she was next. Okay, go ahead.
Your name is Randall.
It's close. So I was just wondering, since the plot of Clerks 3 is revolved around Randall having a heart attack, did it ever get like emotional on set? Because Kevin had a real life heart attack. And I was just wondering if it ever get emotional and you guys appreciating him more or anything along the lines of that.
I don't appreciate him. I don't appreciate his ruse. His cunning attempt to trick me into more movies. Yeah, no, Kevin's pretty well adjusted to the heart attack. It wasn't terribly emotional, no.
No, he definitely knows that he's milking the shit out of that. There's a reason a lot of people make cameos in this movie, and even in Reboot. They were like, the poor bastard had a heart attack. Sure, I'll do your little movie.
Chris Hemsworth probably, right?
What was that?
Chris Hemsworth in the reboot.
I don't even know how he got Chris Hemsworth in Reboot. I mean, for fuck's sake, the guy's just a hologram. Who knows if that's even really him?
Thank you.
But maybe the most important cameo in Reboot, Brian O'Halloran.
I'm the one who's the most. I'm 3 different characters.
That's
in that
right,
movie.
that's
So
right.
I was the Eddie Murphy of the clumps at that point.
I've always said you are the Eddie Murphy of the Skinnerverse.
You're so crazy. Can't even do a laugh.
All right, we'll go with you.
Hey, my name's Mert.
Hey,
I got
Mert.
a question for Jeff, actually. Kevin's been very open over the years talking about your character in Clerks being based on Brian Johnson. Is there any pressure on you knowing that you're portraying someone Kevin knows quite well? And do you see the growth in the films and your character kind of coordinate with Brian Johnson's growth, which has been very open on the podcast he does and everything else?
Who's Brian Johnson? It's I didn't actually know that was Brian Johnson at the beginning of Clerks. So I shot Clerks. We did it, and then after the fact, I found out that Randall was based on Brian Johnson, so I didn't have that fear going into it. It would have been I would have had a big long beard. Would have been a whole different movie.
All right. Are you waiting for a question?
Yeah,
We're going to go back
as
here.
big as a projector screen, I don't like to block everyone's view. Jeff, I was just wondering, since we're on harder to find stuff, and so now you know, is there a best way to get that?
Harvey Weinstein's got the
That's another Harvey Weinstein thing. Yeah.
Oh shit, is it really?
Yeah. So if you got some ramen or smokes, you could probably see it somewhere.
This panel's getting a little down, isn't it?
Well, at least his dick is running.
Give us
That's
some
true.
It's
donkey
actually
show.
interesting. The last show, I don't know which one it was. We were in another town, and somebody was asking me about Now You Know, and I said I don't even have a copy of it. At some point, I had boxes and was giving them out. And this nice gentleman who I told the story to came back the next day and gave me a copy. So now I have one copy of the movie.
We could do, Jeff and I would be happy to do like a beginning to end live rendition of it for you right now if you want.
Yeah.
You guys got some notes?
Woo.
All right, right over here.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm so excited about Clerks 3. I can't wait to see if Trevor makes it past Listerine and Pillow Pants. But my question is, and since we're all friends, I hope you can be like just totally honest and with full arrogance. You talked about the View Askew universe. So I have always like kind of talked with friends about how I think what you guys did, what Kevin Smith did with you guys,
may have inspired what Marvel did. And I was wondering if you could speak to that, or if you think that I'm just crazy, or if you guys see some inspiration in
I think it was Orson Welles who said it best when. Yeah, I personally take credit for what's the Chris? The Thor Chris? I don't know what his name is. Chris Hemsworth, yeah. He owes me money. If it weren't for Clerks 2, there's no Thor Ragnarok, I don't think.
Since we're talking as friends, just two guys together talking about
Whoa!
friends are and stuff and saying, it was just bullshit, to be honest with you. That this fucking writer couldn't think of putting a movie in a different fucking town. And to be honest with you, Hughes did this in his movies, Pretty in Pink and all that jazz. I mean, he's not the first. So stop giving this fucker credit. This is just between two friends. Are we still friends?
To follow up on that a little bit, there is a new line of comics that Kevin's bringing out, Secret Stash Press, that's also going to be available in the fall. It's like he's a really good marketer, having Clerks 3 and this comic line launch at the same time. But it's going to be an anthology, and so he's going to be able to tell like kind of one-shot type stories about your characters within the View Askew universe. So is there a story you would love to hear your character have in this comic?
Yeah, Elias's origin story, that would be interesting. Like, same at Bible camp. Or, trying
One time at Bible camp.
Indoctrinated man.
No,
Elias as a computer programmer?
Yeah, no, I think Elias would think that computers are from the devil. I guess maybe not. He likes Transformers, so he's cool with machines and stuff. I don't know. I can't see him as a programmer somehow. More of a family therapist. or like, what else would Elias do for a career?
We have our own characters to think about. Now we got to think about you.
It's all about Elias.
I think that's the title of that comic. It's all about Elias.
It does sound like an ABC sitcom.
Right.
Jeff? What about you? Do you want to see a random story?
I do. I want to know what makes this guy tick. I'm interested in reading that.
I want to see more of the inside of his apartment. Yeah, that really intrigues me.
Yeah. Clerks 3. Go see it.
All right. Brian, what about you?
I don't know. I think where we left off with Clerks 2, I thought it would have been funny to do like two clerks and a baby kind of thing. and this time the baby is not the Elias character.
We did that in Clerks 2. Elias is the baby.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's really good.
You ready for a question?
Thanks for coming. Huge fan. Question for Jeff. It's about the Randall Walk.
Always one.
It's for me. No. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm saying
Do it!
I'm coming to talk to you like friends.
For me, it's the ultimate exclamation point on the smartass. Like when you're done with what it's the perfect punctuation.
Just as friends. Don't ask me to fucking walk like that.
No, I don't want you to do it. I'm asking.
I'm old. I have to live.
No, I'm saying, where did that come from? Because it's just hilarious. Like you're already like you own somebody already, and then you just like you.
Yeah, no. The original script had me tap dancing into the store.
That's so much better.
And the real story is we shot 20 days. I had one day off. And Kevin at some point asked me, he said, "What are you going to do tonight on your day off?" And I said, "I'm putting on my Wranglers and I'm going out." Yeah. And he was like, do that, don't tap dance. So that's where the Wrangler came from. I'm going to put out a DVD because I've seen so many bad Wrangles. I'm going to put out a how-to. DVD.
You're so old school, dude. It's a YouTube clip or TikTok.
VHS.
I'm going to put out
See,
a
he doesn't know.
VHS.
Jeff, in real life, doesn't know about the internet yet, to be honest with you. So.
Over here.
Okay, so I don't know if any of you have children, but it makes me very curious. Going from, you already know where I'm going, I think. Okay, so I'm curious how your families and children, if you have any kids, how you can, any funny stories of explaining to them, having them watch maybe Clerks 1.
I've got one.
And then going into Clerks 3 and trying to explain this to your spouses or
Ass to
your
mouth.
kids especially, because it makes me really nervous. Does that make sense?
Well, first off, the world will be happy to understand that not either one of us has procreated. So y'all have no little ones of us coming in the world and that we know of. Trevor, I don't know, there's been times at certain hotels, I don't know where he disappears to. Check back with us in 9 months, maybe there'll be someone. I'm kidding, of course. But we none of us have children, isn't that bizarre? I think it's the radiation in New Jersey.
What about significant others? I mean, it just, to me, I remember watching Clerks for the first time at 16 years old, and I'm thinking now, oh my gosh, if I were acting in this movie, just totally deserve it, but if I was acting in this movie and then I went to 2, and okay, so we're getting a little bit more mature, and you guys, 2 is great, but when you go into 3, are you guys getting razzed at some point by close family about, I guess just how to explain going, especially being out of acting, especially for you being out of acting for quite some time and then coming back into it. You don't have any funny stories of anybody giving you a hard time about
The story that came to my mind was when 2 came out. My mom is one of 5 and my dad is one of 6, and so I have a bunch of uncles and aunts and a bunch of cousins, and they all in Minnesota. They all got together and they took up 2 rows of the theater to watch this movie. And my grandmother is there, 100% Polish, 4'10". And my cousin was telling me this story. He was sitting directly behind her, and when the donkey scene happens, he just hears her go, "Oh, Trevor, no." And then she died.
somebody had to have somebody family going, okay,
Donkey
this is gonna be weird.
No,
Can you give us a heads up this time?
At all. None of them.
Lister
I
family.
remember one time being in a grocery store. I was in Pennsylvania in a grocery store with my mother, and these guys recognized me, and we took pictures. We were in the cereal aisle. We took pictures, and everything was great. My mom was like, "Oh, look, he's being recognized." And they went on their way, and my mom and I continued shopping. And I guess they went up to the store, up to the register, and they paid for it. And just before they left, he stuck his head around the aisle and he said, "Try not to suck any dicks on your way through the parking lot."
33
Just
dicks.
looked at me, I'm like, long story.
That is perfect. I normally save this as a last question that I like to ask, but I really do. We have something that I'd love to have the three of you do here in just a moment. So I'm going to ask this question now, and that is, you do dozens of these types of panels, and I'm wondering if there is a story or a message that you're never asked about that you'd like to be asked about. And I'll go to Brian first.
Stories that I'm never asked about?
And then you just always wanted to share, but you're like, oh man, I wish someone would ask me about my origami hobby. I don't know.
Is that you looking through
You
my
took
window?
my answer.
It's going to sound like I made it up.
No, I mean, there's nothing I ask. I kind of just tell people, look, in local towns, support the arts and everywhere you can. I know a lot of school boards, they get the vote there for their budgets and stuff. And so everybody's like, sports is great. Well, to make sure we have coaches for football and basketball, but, we get shafted on, the drama club or the musicians, the bands get shafted on that. So, yeah, thank you. I mean, if you're fans of comic books, you're fans of comic book movies, it all starts in the arts.
Boo, art nerds. Just as bad as library nerds.
Jokes about it.
So it's that type of thing where I always just say, please support the arts and in every way, and that's by going to the local arts too. Go to your local community theater, support their shows, go see. Even those little kids who are doing their 3rd grade fucking dance recital, and you're just like, oh my God, why didn't I not bring whiskey with me? At least you're enjoying the arts and a drink or something. But yeah, that's something that they don't get asked, because who wants to talk about politics in that sense? But in a sense, please support the arts.
Yeah, it's a really important message. Jeff?
Nobody has, I can't think of anything that somebody hasn't asked me.
I wish people would ask about my hot new cryptocurrency. It's going to the moon diamond page. And it's called Trev Coin. There's one that has been minted, it's mine. But yeah, anybody wants to get in on my Ponzi scheme, I mean cryptocurrency, you just need to bring along 5 friends.
Did you have one more question before? And then, yeah, go
Oh, yeah,
ahead.
it just ticked off the hobbies. I was thinking about it. Brian, could you really quickly explain the secret to a good break? I heard you talk about being able to shoot pool with your dad. So you know how to break, and I look like a 3-year-old with muscular dystrophy. I barely move anything. So could you just one hint to maybe something I'm doing wrong?
Bring the cue ball closer to the rail. It gives more, the transfer of your power through it gives you more power to break the balls. And I've been known to break balls all the time.
And also, don't trust me to tell you what the rules of 8-ball are.
Yes.
Oh my balls!
Billiards, we were just at, for the week, last weekend, we were doing the 25-year Secret Stash Bash in Red Bank for Kevin, and we all got this giant Airbnb house that we all stayed in, which I was like, how come we don't have cameras? This would be like the real world Clerks edition. It'd be fucking hilarious. I just want to do confessionals like, fucking Jay took a bathroom all to himself, blah, blah, blah. But there was a pool table in this house, and Trevor's very good with just getting into the minutia, especially of like rules and stuff, and him and one of the other guests who were with us at the house got into this kind of thing about what the rules of the American Billiards Association has, and it was, it made billiards kind of not fun.
Yeah, chore. A slog and a dour chore. Yeah, I turn. That's what I do.
All right, this will be our last one, and then we'll have something special for you. So go ahead.
I was going to ask, you mentioned the alternate version of Clerks 3 from a few years ago, this darker version. Are you at liberty to share a little bit about that with us and why you guys didn't like that idea?
We aren't at liberty to release the reason why it was so dark. We did 2 staged readings as a fundraiser for the First Avenue Playhouse in Leonardo, New Jersey, which is the place where we filmed those auditions for the original Clerks. So it was a fundraiser so that they could upgrade their lights and sound system and stuff. And we had 2 table reads of that over 2 days, and it went really well. But it was a really heavily emotional conflict between, Randall and Dante. There's a real world situation that happens that affects the whole store and the neighborhood and stuff. And so it was that kind of situation. It was like, ooh, this turned very drama, serious, dark, kind of a Brian Johnson kind of script, really, if any of you ever seen the film Vulgar. So it was that type of feel that just didn't quite have the Clerks-esque to it. But throughout those 2 readings, Kevin, who read for the Randall part, funny enough, was able to take the things that were funny, the parts that didn't work from that draft, and work it into what you will see in the fall, the new Clerks 3. So that's the best thing about it. For him, it was almost like a workshop. He was like, all right, they didn't like the dark stuff, but I killed with the funny. So here we go.
And that's you supporting the arts, going out and doing those stage readings and everything else, living what you're saying out there. So, I gotta set this up very quickly.
Speaking of the arts.
I gotta set this up very quickly. Speaking of stage readings as well, I get to meet the 3 of these gentlemen last night, and then Trevor tells me they found out that last weekend, and do you want to go ahead and explain it?
Yeah, I'll make this brief. When we were in New Jersey.
Bullshit. I should say we have about 5 minutes.
When we were in New Jersey, there was a piece of fan art up on one of the walls that's Kevin, Jay, Brian, Jeff, and myself as the Sailor Moon girls. And it was really funny, so I took a picture of it and I sent it to my friends on a WhatsApp chat, and one of my friends on that chat was like, oh shit, I bet you there's Randall Elias erotic fan fiction. And we were all like, no, there's not. And literally 1 minute later, she was like, found it. And we thought it might be nice to do like a little performance of some of this erotic fan fiction.
So I do have to say, real quick, so then I'm walking away and Trevor goes, don't tell Jeff about this. It's fine, don't tell Jeff about it. And then I get maybe 10 feet away and he goes, you really should check out this. So here we are.
Looked into this.
Some erotic fan fiction.
So I'm not sure where we want to start. I was kind of thinking, like.
I think the second paragraph down, wild the lazy ass.
I like this part here when he's when Randall starts with, "What do you fantasize about?"
All right, we'll jump to that.
Hang on. Where is that?
It's kind of toward the end.
Oh. Fucking blowing your load early as usual.
Oh, we can do that too. I'll look for more of it.
Where is it?
It's sort of toward the end. It says maybe ... What do you? We probably should have. In retrospect, we maybe should have fucking figured this out before we did
Okay,
it.
all right. Okay.
It was your idea. So what am I doing? All right, we're gonna start from there.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you call action?
Action.
What do you fantasize about?
You know, just doing things
Elias practically whispered.
with a guy.
Any specific guy?
He reflexively looked back up at Randall, whose eyes widened. As they met, Elias's own eyes widened.
This is me?
Yeah.
Wait.
The younger man blushed, deepened. He couldn't bring himself to tear away his gaze, like a deer frozen in headlights.
Do you fantasize about me?
Elias appeared unable
This
to
is
answer.
creepy.
Elias was unable to answer the question, which in itself basically answered the question.
Holy shit, you do!
He tried to swallow the lump in his throat, but it wouldn't go down.
There was a lump. That's not in the script. Well, what do you imagine?
He noted the twinkle in Randall's half-lidded eyes as a devilish smirk spread across the latter's face. Predatorially, Randall stepped closer to Elias, who subconsciously took a step back.
Oh, I'm not reading.
That gets dirty.
I told you I'm all in for Clerks 3. Here we go. Do you imagine me fucking you?
Whoa! Randall stepped forward until he backed Elias up against the wall in anticipation of whatever was to happen next. The younger man's chest rose and fell, heavy, shaky breaths as he stared pleadingly into Randall's eyes.
Well, do you?
Yes! Elias gasped and threw his arms around Randall, smashing their lips together. The latter's eyes widened in surprise, but slowly closed as they reciprocated the kiss. Elias whimpered as Randall's tongue pushed its way into his mouth, but quickly pulled away when a wad of cum plopped into it.
Asked about.
Oh my god, that's so fucking funny.
Randall said somewhat sheepishly, but mostly amused. He watched Elias remove the gum, which Randall then plucked from Elias' fingers and stuck to the underside of the nearest display shelf.
You can't leave that there. Why is this author so concerned about this gum?
Well, where the hell do you want me to put it?
The trash can is right over here. This goes on
Elias
for the
pointed.
Whatever.
Randall rolled his eyes and removed the gum from underneath the shelf before walking towards the trash can, where he threw out the said gum.
Sorry about that.
He apologized. Once he was back in front of Elias, though, with some space between them, as they stared insecurely at each other, an awkward silence fell over them, which Randall finally broke when a thought popped into his head.
Oh shit, Myra!
His eyes
Dude, your
widened.
girlfriend!
I don't have a girlfriend, Randall.
Elias bowed his head in humiliation and kept his eyes on the floor as blush crept back over his face.
You guys broke up? That's why you responded so weirdly when I brought her up earlier?
He emphatically shook his head, surprised at how stupid Randall could sometimes be. Despite Latter's quick wit and the ability to think for himself.
I've never had a girlfriend, Randall. Myra is made up.
Randall's jaw dropped.
You guys broke up? I mean...
No, you're reading so much. Alright, this is getting old, I think. Should we...
Cut!
Oh, wait, how did you...
No.
Someone's like, no.
No, this is...
Somebody out there's like,
There's like
finish.
Finish!
Ooh, anyway, then they make it and they try out.
I think you have a new Patreon idea right here.
So, I just want to put this out like scattering dandelion seeds into the wind. If you guys can find any more Randall Elias erotic fan fiction,
You know where our table is.
Anyway, thank you for indulging me in that. That was a dream come true.
I will literally never forget this moment of my life. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of the creativity and art that you helped put out into the world, because clearly it's made such an impact on everybody in this room, so many people all across the world. So thank you for what you've done. And talk about an amazing narrator.
Oh yeah, great job, Brian.
Fucking professional, bro.
Yeah!
You're welcome.
Right, thank you so much to Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson.
Thank you. Woo!
Real quick, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out. Like I said, I haven't done many of these cons, but it's been amazing meeting all of you, and thank you so much.